Hooray for Hollywood! Howdy. Stan the Movie Man here with your WIMZ.com movie review. This week, you sent me to see one of the summer tentpole hopeful blockbusters of the season, The Lone Ranger. It stars Armie Hammer, Johnny Depp, Tom Wilkinson, William Fichtner, also Barry Pepper, Helena Bonham Carter, and about 12,000 other people. The story is so convoluted and complicated, I'm not even going to try. Essentially, it is the origin story of the Lone Ranger, who is shot in an ambush by a bunch of bad guys led by Butch Cavendish, which is William Fichtner's character. Armie Hammer plays John Reed. He has a brother who is a Texas Ranger, Dan Reed, played by James Badge Dale. And he's with his brother and a posse trying to capture this Cavendish guy because he's a super bad guy. But they get ambushed and everyone is thought to be dead. However, John Reed is still alive, played by Armie Hammer, and he is found by Tonto, who's played by Johnny Depp. And it is the story of Reed's recovery, his transition from sort of a milquetoast lawyer into the masked man who rides the West, bringing justice wherever he goes, the Lone Ranger. It is a huge, convoluted, overly complicated, far too long. In other words, it's a Gore Verbinski movie. Of course, Verbinski is the director of all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And Jerry Bruckheimer is the producer, also the producer of those movies. And as we all know, all of those movies have been entirely too long. I think these people who make these movies have never met a subplot they didn't like. There are so many twists and turns and side quests, if I can borrow some gamer language, and other things to take you away from the primary story, that it just becomes this mess. Now, I'll have to give Depp credit. He is very good as Tonto. Now, naturally, they've whitewashed the character, of course. Native American should have played the role. But Depp is the one who could get the money from Disney. Or, with Verbinski and Bruckheimer all together, that trio gets a bunch of money from Disney. Suspected between $215 million and $250 million. It is not doing well at the box office at all. Why? It's 2.5 hours long. That would be why. 2.5 hours to tell this story. Now, I've been ripped before for saying that movies are too long. I get told, well, back in the old days, they used to be 4 hours long with intermission in the middle. Yes, that's true. They also were more entertaining. The Lone Ranger is hugely bloated with far too many misdirections. There's a ton of characters. There's a ton of stunts. And probably the biggest stunt the two biggest stunts in the movie involve train crashes. And a lot of that is done very well. There's just too much of it. This story could have been done easily in 90 minutes. If you wanted to pad it a little bit with some action scenes, 2 hours. But it's 2.5 hours. It is the quintessential bladderbuster. And it's not worth the 2.5 hours. Depp is very entertaining as Tonto. Armie Hammer, is okay as John Reed, the Lone Ranger. And the rest of the supporting cast does their job. William Fichtner as the bad guy, Butch Cavendish, is about as slimy as I've ever seen a bad guy in a movie. He's also a cannibal, which was an odd thing to throw in. But, if you've got the time, and if you love Johnny Depp or Armie Hammer that much, then by all means, see The Lone Ranger. It's gonna test you though, because it just never seems to go in a straight line story-wise. It has very little momentum as far as moving the story forward, and it just rambles on, not unlike this review. I'm giving it 3 guitars. Go to WIMZ.com to read my complete review, as well as to vote on the movie that I'll see next time. Your questions or comments are always welcome. Please send them to StanTheMovieMan@att.net, and you can follow me on Twitter @MovieManStan. Till next time, hi-ho, Silver, away!